and welcome back to Katie's Insight, where I give my insight on basically whatever I want. A lot of what we cover is current events, news, politics, business, finance, and right now, as you know, we are on the stimulus freight train because we all need help, and I want to do everything I can to show you guys the signs of where things are at so we can get help for everyone. Okay, so today we're going to focus on two things. If you saw the title of today's video, excuse me. First of all, we're going to focus on President Trump's health because he ended up having, his doctors did another press briefing yesterday, and he was officially released. I want to go over some of that and tell you exactly what that means. We are at day 6 of President Trump having tested positive, so I want to go into some of that as well. There are millions of you who are up and eligible for a stimulus check as early as this week. Are you one of them, and what does that mean? I will get into later. I sound like the actual news people. Coming up in the next hour, something in your house going to kill you. Stay tuned to find out. Like one of those people. And you know what? They don't have candles on their desk like I do. Or they're not, you know what? They don't share them with you guys, which I don't know why you wouldn't want to share the fresh orange love. Also, I don't know if you guys are noticing, my chair keeps like trying to go this way. So if you see me just slowly turning, I feel like Will Ferrell in that movie, Talladega Nights. Talladega Nights is my favorite movie. It's from somebody that comes from the Midwest who grew up in a time I watched NASCAR when I was little. Long story short, I had a mom who had a husband for a short time that was super into NASCAR. So anyways, I have a big appreciation for that movie, and I love it in the interview. I don't know what to do with my hands. I feel like that with my chair. I don't know what to do with my chair, so when you see me just slowly start shifting, that's why. So it should be a drinking game. How many times is my chair just going to do whatever it wants? Or how many times am I going to scratch my back? Allergy season. Makes my skin crazy. Anyways, let's go ahead and let's get into details. But before I do, guys, I also want to go over with you, as you guys know, first of all, and I'm going to give you an update. I got the invitation to get monetized today. I got it. We did it. You guys did it. Thank you so much. Now, what does this mean? Now, just because I got the invitation doesn't mean I'm monetized yet. Sometimes it can be a day or two, and sometimes it can take weeks. I know people, it took months to get monetized. So, not out of the woods yet, but we reached the requirements. Thank you. Thank you so much for the love and support. I cannot thank you guys enough. And if you want to continue to support me so I can, when I get monetized, fingers crossed, I don't think there's any reason why I wouldn't. My content is super, I was going to say lame. Maybe it is lame, but it's super non-controversial, right? I don't curse. I don't show anything that would be inappropriate. I try not to be as offensive as possible. I know I give some opinions that might kind of skirt the line, but I'm never trying to offend anybody, so I don't see why not, but it's YouTube. And what I've learned about YouTube is a you never know situation. All the time. So I want to be humble about this, right? But if you want to help me continue to grow this channel and you want to help me be able to do things where I can give you guys gift cards again and stuff, please continue to do the following. Like the videos, like every video you see. Subscribe if you haven't, and if you're subscribed, make sure and hit that notification bell so you can be notified when I have uploads that come out, and you can be one of the first ones to see them. Oh my gosh, y'all. I had our upload system to 20,000 people. It was crazy what I was able to get it to when it comes to notifications, and now it's very sparse. But I love the people who are here, so I'm so glad you're here, and if you could please hit notifications, it would greatly help. Also, leave a comment, leave as many as you can. Mousseline, girl, I have seen 20 comments every video. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but thank you, girl. I've seen your comments trying to help. My love and appreciation goes to Mousseline. Thank you so much. I think she's actually one of my gift card winners. I was like, I know this name. So I think hey girl, hey, and I had to look it up. I'm like, yeah. So anyways, thank you so much, Mousseline. Much love and much appreciation to you. And as far as anyone else is concerned, please make sure and leave as many comments as you can. And also, guys, please share this content. Share this content with as many people as possible that you think it could help. I have tons of tools and tons of resources on this channel to be able to help people. Would love to help everybody. And please watch the videos from start until finish. That helps me with watch time. That helps me continue to gain a momentum in the algorithm. And then I can start giving away some of the money I make to y'all. I gave out too much last time with things that happened, and just have to be careful until I get monetized, because y'all, we are all in the same boat together. You watched me work my tail off and then have to jump ship with nothing, but that's okay. That is okay, because we're all going to get through this, all of us together. All right, let's continue. Also, Facebook, Katie's Insight, like the page, join the group, Katie's Corner. It will be changed soon. Facebook is just not letting me update that yet. So that will be changed. Go in there. You can ask all the stimulus questions you want. Heads up. I rarely answer stimulus questions in there. Like I had a really sweet person ask for me to help them do their taxes, and I'm like, I'm not an accountant. I am not the person. No, if you want them messed up, sure, come to me. No, don't ever come to me for your taxes. So I'm not a CPA, I'm not an accountant, and I am so busy with the channel, I'm not in there as much, but tons of people are in there and we're all trying to help each other. So I just want to give you guys a heads up, and my assistant will be in there more interacting with people here soon. Just got to get everything up and running. Okay, let's go ahead and let's dive in. So when it comes to President Trump's health, let's go into that first. Oh, sweet baby Jesus. Like Talladega Nights does. They pray to baby Jesus. They pray to the baby version. Y'all remember this because that's the one he likes. Dear, what is it? 8-pound, 10-ounce, sweet baby Jesus in your golden fleece diapers with KFC and Taco Bell. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about and you are bored today and you need something to change your life, go watch Talladega Nights. It's my new Bible. I had a spiritual experience and became religious for Talladega Nights after I watched that. But let's go ahead and talk. So, y'all, President Trump is just doing sillier and sillier things. Remember, I'm not pro-Trump and I'm not anti-Trump. I am somebody in the middle who weighs and disseminates information and tries to look at everything from that place of non-bias. Now, I have said a lot of positive things about Trump because I have been showing you guys the media manipulation when it comes to President Trump. To me, that's a very important thing to do because, and the big reason is people always wonder, why did he get elected? And I'm trying to show you the people like me, the silent majority in the middle who aren't extreme, who don't take sides, who just try to weigh the information, who all know it's BS. A lot of the people like me decide the election. So I'm trying to show you guys exactly what happens with the media and the extremists and why people like me end up being pushed over to his side. I'm not saying they should be. I'm not saying I am. I'm saying what this looks like for a lot of people, because there's this misconception, which makes it worse for the left when they do this, that people who support Trump are just a bunch of ignorant, arrogant hicks, that don't know anything. And all we want is to protect our guns and our and Red Bear and Bam. And there's some of that, obviously, right? There's trailer trash everywhere of all colors, shapes, and sizes, obviously. However, also, there are people in trailers who are wonderful people. Not everybody is trash in a trailer. Just want to point that out. And I grew up around a lot of that stuff, so I can tell you definitively. However, when it comes to situations like this, when it comes to these things, this is what I'm really wanting to point out. The left pushing that narrative, like, am I just an ignorant hick from the sticks who's drinking beer and just concerned about my Bible and my guns? And by the way, if that's you, more power to you. You know what? You have the right in this country and you have the right as a human being to do as you wish, as long as you do no harm to anybody else. My point is to say them painting everybody who might support Trump or some of his policies with this narrative pushes people over to his side, pushes people like me. That's all I'm trying to say. But y'all, let's talk. Trump is doing some massively stupid things, massively when it comes to this virus. Now, I've been telling you guys when it comes to this virus, this is giving him a big L right before the election. He's had nothing but W's. Wins left and right because he's a good negotiator, he's good at marketing, he's good at advertising, he's good at PR. He has to be for him to build the businesses he's built. However, right now, he is just making one stupid gaffe after another. And a big one is that yesterday, or the day before, when he still had the virus, which he still has, he went out in his motorcade waving to everybody from the car. And people were talking about how dangerous it was. Well, I don't know if it's really as dangerous for the passer base. I mean, it's not a good idea, period, right? But if he's in a sealed vehicle, does that keep the virus in? I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm just entertaining the ideas that I know me and a lot of other people would have. But the fact is, he put his Secret Service in jeopardy and risk. Now, the argument is the Secret Service are there all the time in PPE anyway, so it's not anything different. I mean, again, I don't really know the situation there, but I'll tell you, it looks bad. It looks like he's not taking it seriously. And then when it comes to the virus, he says, he said this statement the other day, because he just got released last night from the hospital, don't fear the virus. And here's the thing about Trump. I feel like I can give him the benefit of the doubt and I can understand what he's saying. A lot of people just want to take it as the extreme negative and spin it into a bunch of stuff that it's not, which again pushes people like me over to his side. I feel like he was trying to say, don't live in fear. And you know what? To not live in fear is not a bad mantra, right? In terms of like the spirituality and things that I do my best to not live in fear. However, it is healthy to have concern and to act from that concern. And you know what? Sometimes fears come up and that is totally okay. It's normal. Like for instance, if a bear is chasing you, yeah, you're going to be scared. That's healthy, right? And I think there is I would call it the term there is a healthy level of fear for certain things, or I would say, if anything, concern. And so the way that he's coming across with going out in the motorcade and waving to people and telling people not to fear the virus, I think he's trying to put people at ease. I think he's trying to be appreciative, and I get what he's trying to do, at least from my perspective. Could be wrong, don't know this guy, but from my perspective, I look at this and I go, oh, I think this is what he's attempting to do. Instead, it comes across very flippant. It comes across very nonchalant, like he doesn't think this illness is even a thing. And granted, I know there's a lot of blank theories out there about what that is and what that isn't, which we are not going to get into on this channel, because at the end of the day, I don't know. My stance is I'm going to take it seriously and I'm going to act with concerned caution at a situation like this. That's how I'm going to operate, but it's making him look really bad, to the point that we have a report that his family is either they were or they are going to attempt an intervention for some of the behaviors he's doing that look crazy. I mean, of course, the media, big media is going to spin it. Donald Trump's crazy and his family's reining him in because he's crazy. I don't think he's crazy. I think that he is making missteps right now in the way he is acting for the public to perceive him. Because remember, this election is the virus election. It's the stimulus election. As much as I know Trump doesn't want to be defined by the economy and the virus, that's what's going to happen this election. So him getting the virus as it is, when he has been so big on pushing the economy to get back open, is bad enough. But then when he does things to make it look like he's not taking it seriously, 100 times, 1,000 times worse. Now, is that true that his family was going to stage an intervention? Because what we're hearing is Don Jr. was actually going to come and say, hey, Dad, slow down. This is how things are looking, because, Trump isn't going to really answer to anybody to an extent. And Don Jr. felt like in the family, he was the only one that Trump may kind of have some humility and listen to. By the way, I'm not saying he doesn't have humility. I don't know him. I'm telling you what's been reported. And who knows if that's real, but I can say just watching this, it looks like he's doing a ton of missteps. This is really bad. He's advertising himself horribly right now when it comes to this virus. And again, I think some of it's not even intentional, but it's happening. And when you have a target on your back like that all the time, you have to be careful of the moves you make. However, and I've been in this position in a minor way where there's a constant target on your back in a public setting. The stress of that is going to make you do missteps sometimes. Even though I think the president handles it as best as he can, having so many people lie about you and hate you all the time is stressful. I don't care who you are. Even if you learn to not let it bother you that much, it's still a consistent amount of stress that's there. You might know how to manage it better or manage it well, but it's still stress, and it can still affect you in different ways. And considering he's in a weakened state with this virus, and he may have even been scared. Remember, it was reported he was having heart palpitations from remdesivir, which can happen, as I've said before. I have asthmatic issues as a result of a histamine disorder. I get all this inflammation in my lungs. It's crazy. I tell people, I'm like, I have asthma coming from my stomach. They're like, what? I'm like, I know it's not going to make sense to hardly anybody, but has what I have. So I'll feel inflammation come up from my stomach, hit my lungs, hit my throat, and that's what that is. And it's because histamine starts in the gut. Just a little bit of science for y'all on histamine. Not that I'm an expert. I'm just learning how this works to learn to take care of my own self. But I wanted to go into this because I thought it was very, very interesting what's being said about him, and I'm going to give my perspective, because I know a lot of you guys think I'm what do you call it, me, a closet Republican or a closet Trumper. I'm not, but I'm somebody who doesn't like somebody constantly being lied at and the BS being told about. However, I am somebody fair, and if I see something silly, I'm going to call it out. So here's what I would like to do as well, because I think the media, I agree and I disagree with some of them right now, because I want to go ahead and pull this up. I want to pull up, there is a small clip of the doctors talking about President Trump. And I want to go ahead and pull this up for you guys, because in talking about him, the reporters actually called them out on a few things. So let's go ahead and let's take a look, and then we're going to get into stimulus checks for this week. Roll it.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. Over the past 24 hours, the president has continued to improve. He's met or exceeded all standard hospital discharge criteria. He'll receive another dose of remdesivir here today, and then we plan to get him home. It's been more than 72 hours since his last fever. Oxygen levels, including ambulatory saturations and his work of breathing, are all normal. Though he may not entirely be out of the woods yet, the team and I agree that all our evaluations, and most importantly, his clinical status, support the president's safe return home, where he'll be surrounded by world-class medical care 24/7. I'd like to bring Dr. Dooley up to review some more specifics.
Good afternoon. Just a brief update this morning. As Dr. Connolly mentioned, the president continues to do very well. His vital signs this morning were notable for a temperature of 98.1. His blood pressure was 134/78. A respiratory rate of 17 respirations per minute. His heart rate was 68 beats per minute. And his last oxyhemoglobin saturation was 97% on room air. He currently does not endorse any respiratory complaints. And aside from our evaluation with the multidisciplinary team this morning, has maintained a full schedule, ambulating and working on the White House medical unit. I'll now turn it over to Dr. Garibaldi to again discuss therapeutics. Thanks.
Hi, good afternoon. And again, I just wanted to echo the sentiment of what an honor it is to be part of this wonderful team here at Walter Reed. Yesterday evening, the president received his third dose of remdesivir. He tolerated that infusion without difficulty, and his kidney and liver function continued to be normal. Our plan is to give the fourth dose of remdesivir this evening before he goes back to the White House, and we've made arrangements to deliver the fifth and final dose of his treatment course at the White House tomorrow evening. He continues on dexamethasone, and again, the plan for today is to continue to be up and out of bed, eat and drink, and work as he is able. And I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Jason Blaylock, who's an infectious disease specialist and the chief of medicine here at Walter Reed, to give some updates on infection control. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I just want to say what an honor it's been to be part of this medical team behind me and to care for the president. Since the president's arrival at Walter Reed, he's received medical management that remains in line with national clinical societal guidelines for treatment of COVID-19 infection. In addition, both myself and Dr. Wes Campbell have worked very closely with various laboratories in the area, state-of-the-art facilities to include USAMRIID and RARE on obtaining advanced diagnostic testing to really inform the White House medical team of both the status of the president as well as his ability to transmit virus to others. Also, we have worked very closely with the Walter Reed team to ensure that we are looking very closely at infection control prevention strategies and the right posture so that the president can safely return to his residence. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Conley, who will answer any final questions.
Thanks, Jason. I mentioned it Saturday, but I'd like to reiterate myself just how grateful the president and I are to the men and women of Walter Reed, our colleagues at Johns Hopkins, as well as the many federal, private institutions that we've received support from. And so long as everything continues on the track that we're experiencing right now, this time, as the president already tweeted out, is to get him home later today. With that, I'll take a couple questions.
Discharged back to the White House when he was given steroids. You've said that he's still on those steroids. Those are medicines, as you know, that are usually given to COVID patients who are on ventilators or with low oxygen. So did you over-treat him? And if he's still on that medication, how is it safe for him to return to the White House?
So we send patients home with medications all the time. In fact, yesterday afternoon, he probably met most of his discharge requirements safely from the hospital. And he's returning to a facility, the White House Medical Unit, that's staffed 24/7, top-notch physicians, nurses, PAs, logisticians, and the unit here, the team here behind me is going to continue to support us in that nature. Yes?
What infection control measures are you taking? And how was it safe for him to drive around in a cloth mask yesterday? And how is it safe for him now to return to the White House where there have been so many cases? How's any of this safe?
So the president has been surrounded by medical and security staff for days wearing full PPE. And yesterday, the U.S. Secret Service agents were in that same level of PPE for a very short period of time. We've worked with our infectious disease experts to make some recommendations for how to keep everything safe down at the White House for the president and those around him. We're looking at where he's going to be able to carry out his duties, office space, and I'll just say that it's in line with everything we've been doing upstairs for the last several days.
Can you tell us, please, on testing, can you tell us when he had his last negative test? Was it Thursday? Was it Wednesday? Do you remember when he had his last negative test?
I don't want to go backwards.
Contact tracing for people who are around him to know
I
when he
understand.
was
The
positive?
contact tracing, as I understand it, is being done. I'm not involved in that. So.
Why did you begin the starvation that you leave, or was this something he pushed for?
So we try to get patients home and out of the hospital as quickly as is safe and reasonable. Every day a patient stays in the hospital unnecessarily is a risk to themselves. And right now there's nothing that's being done upstairs here that we can't safely conduct down home.
That 7 to 10 days was a window that you'd be concerned about. I don't think we're there yet. So do you have concerns about potential worsening or reversal, and what are your plans for addressing that if it were to happen?
You're absolutely right. And that's why we all remain cautiously optimistic and on guard because we're in a bit of uncharted territory when it comes to a patient that received the therapies he has so early in the course. So we're looking to this weekend. If we can get through to Monday with him remaining the same or improving, better yet, then we will all take that final deep sigh relief. But as I said, 24/7 world-class medical care surrounding him down there. We're not going to miss anything that we would have caught up here.
He's physically going to be in the White House, and what does that look like? How do you keep him safely quarantined?
I wish I could go into that more, but I just can't.
Doctor, why did you begin dexamethasone treatment?
So that has something to do. Yesterday we talked about that, the several little temporary drops in his oxygen, and we had discussed that as a team and elected to start it early in case that persisted or worsened. The potential risks and side effects we all discussed. We looked at the data and decided that we'd rather push ahead on it than hold and risk the opposite.
What about CT scans and chest x-rays? What have you seen on his campaigning?
As far as travel goes, we'll see.
His mental status, can you talk to about whether he has any neurological symptoms? Does he have any side effects from his medications? Any fogginess from the virus?
No, I think you've seen the videos and now the tweets, and you'll see him shortly. He's back. Yeah.
Pneumonia or any inflammation in his lungs at all?
So we've done routine standard imaging. I'm just not at liberty to discuss.
Doctor,
So
you were on board
you're
Air Force
actively
One.
not telling us what those lung scans showed, just to be clear.
So there are HIPAA rules and regulations that restrict me in sharing certain things for his safety and his own health and reasons.
Share how many times, you said his oxygen dropped several times. Can you share how many times he was on oxygen? You said you checked with the nursing staff yesterday?
Yes. So he the 2 episodes like we talked about yesterday, and both times that he received a little bit of oxygen and recovered immediately.
Was that oxygen required?
No, it wasn't required. He wasn't short of breath. He wasn't looking ill. It was more of us trying to anticipate needs and see how he'd respond. And in both cases, it came right off. He didn't need it from very long at all.
You were on board Air Force One for multiple trips. Are you at all concerned about your own exposure and exposure to the medical team?
I am concerned, but as the CDC says, there are caveats for essential employees. That as long as you continue to test negative, you remain symptom-free, and you keep a mask on when you're out and about, which we do inside the hospital 24/7, then you can carry on your duties. Yeah.
The president's an impatient man. Has he been itchy to get out of here?
The president has been a phenomenal patient during his stay here, and he's been working hand in glove with us and the team. And today got to the point he's holding court with those of us around him, the whole team, going over all the specifics, the testing, what the future is, and we have been back and forth on what's safe and what's reasonable, and he has never once pushed us to do anything that was beyond safe and reasonable practice that we all first wanted.
Medical team who recommended against the president leaving here and going back to the White House today? Or any White House staffers?
No.
Doctor, president said don't be afraid of COVID. Do you agree with that? Should we not be afraid?
I'm not going to get into what the president says.
His heart, liver, and kidney function was normal or improving. Improving, does that mean that there were effects, and is it all normal? Like, what's up with that?
Yeah, it's all normal right now. I would say he appeared to be a little dehydrated Friday. He was able to just drink and recover from that, and yeah, everything looks great.
Campaigning out in the country, what sort of things do you?
Yeah, so the big first thing that we need to do is that there is no evidence of live virus still present that he could possibly transmit to others. And that's what the infectious disease experts and some of our partners, military civilian entities, doing some of these advanced diagnostics just to see as soon as we can identify that. Routinely, we talk about a 10-day window, CDC guidelines, but we're checking him more routinely than just waiting 10 days. There's a possibility it's earlier than that. There's a chance that it's a little bit later, but we will know as soon as possible. And then we will look at him clinically. How are you feeling? How are you doing?
Why have you decided not to administer hydroxychloroquine to the president during his time here?
I'm not going to go into all of our debates about specific medicines and therapies. There are dozens of therapies that we were made aware of, that we considered, that we discussed and debated and looked at, the existing literature on. And this is the regimen we chose.
Hydroxychloroquine.
Symptoms of COVID, is he having some of the muscle aches? Has he lost his sense of taste and smell?
No, we were just talking about that, what symptoms he has left. And he's even the slight cough that he used to have, he doesn't really complain of at all. He hasn't ever complained of muscle aches. Yeah, he's up and back to his old self predominantly.
Next Monday, just to be clear, how long will he still be actively shedding the virus?
So this morning, I believe there was even an accounting by Dr. Fauci referencing the first 5 days of illness that people are most likely to shed live virus. There's a reason there's the 10 days is because most people by that time, after 7 days, most folks don't have culturable live virus. They put it to 10 just to give some extra space. It's never 100%, between everybody. So we'll see. I'm not going to put a specific number, but we look at that window is all I say.
Will the president be confined to his residence, or will he be allowed to return to the Oval Office?
We're going to do whatever it takes for the president to safely conduct business wherever it is he needs to do within the residence and White House.
And is he on blood thinners? And also, have you been giving him Tylenol, Advil, anything
Oh,
to
that
bring
came
his
up.
fever
I
down?
would like to say he has not been on any fever-reducing medications for over 72 hours. Yeah, he's on a routine regimen of COVID therapy. I'm not going to go into specifics as to what he is and is not on, but.
You said in the read this here that the president had a mild cough, some nasal congestion, and fatigue on Thursday. Now, back to my colleague Jen Jacobs' question. The reason knowing when the president's last negative test is important. For that reason, your words, what you said, and also for the contact tracing. But would you recommend it that, given those symptoms, that the president go to that Bedminster fundraiser?
It's not up to me necessarily, the president's schedule, but I would say that it wasn't until after he returned that we really sat down, then knowing the news of the day, that we really dove into how are you feeling, what's going on.
Those were the symptoms he was experiencing on Thursday.
I'm not going to get into operations.
When was his last negative test, and what was his viral load?
I know everyone wants that. Yeah, I don't have his viral load. Those are some of the diagnostics that we're sending out that will really tell us when it's safe for him to get back out and around people.
What did you say when the last negative test was?
Any abnormal tests? Were any of his lab tests abnormal?
I'm not, again, HIPAA kind of precludes me from going into too much depth and things that I'm not at liberty or doesn't wish to be discussed. At some future point, maybe, but today, sorry. I think that's it. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. you.
Thank you.
Got my notes. Note time. Okay, let's take a look. So I want to go ahead and go over all of this. The doctors, this is what they were saying. Hold on. Dude, oh, it smells like oranges. It reminds me of spring and sunshine and summer. Y'all, I gotta move somewhere where there's no winter at some point. Hey, let me know in the comments, where's a good place that's not like super duper expensive, that's not rotting, that's like warm most of the time, that's like spring and summer? Sound off, I wanna know. I need my sun. Okay, the doctor said the past 24 hours the president continues to improve. He's met and exceeded all criteria to be discharged. He will receive another round of remdesivir, then he will go home. It's been 72 hours since his last fever. Oxygen levels are normal. To many, he may not be entirely out of the woods yet. In our evaluations and clinical status support the president's safe return home. He can safely return home where he will be under medical care 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, okay? The president continues to do very well. His vitals are notable and his temperature is 98.1 and he's got good blood pressure. 68 beats per minute, which is very, very good, guys. He currently does not endorse any respiratory complaints. He's maintained a full work schedule while he's been in the hospital. Last night, the president received a third dose of remdesivir. Kidney and liver functions are normal. Fourth dose of remdesivir before we released him, and then a fifth dose and final dose in the White House. And he's going to be on the dexamethasone or dexamethasone. I always dyslect this, just know I'm going to. He's eating, drinking, and working normally. Since the president's arrival, he's received medical help that is in line with the virus infection. I worked with him very closely with various laboratories and areas to do advanced diagnostic testing to make the White House team aware of his status and his ability to transmit the virus to others. Working very closely with Walter Reed team to look at the infection tool prevention strategies we can do in the White House so the president can return safely to his residence. As long as he continues to get better, we will get him home later that day. Now, people are asking, why was he discharged on steroids? I kind of rolled my eyes and laughed at this one a little bit because I can answer some of this. Why was he discharged on steroids? He's still on them. These steroids are usually for people on ventilators or severe virus issues. Did you overtreat him? Is he still on meds? How safe is it for him to go home? They said, such a common sense answer. We send patients home with medication all the time. Of course you do. You go to the doctor, they give you medicine. I know the virus is different. I can hear the comments, but I'm going to go into this in just a second. Since yesterday afternoon, he met discharge requirements safely from the hospital. He was returning to the facility, the White House medical unit staff that's there, that's staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's top-notch medical professionals. Okay, guys, as somebody who's routinely been on steroids for my lungs not functioning before we had the histamine disorder and started being able to treat it in the way that I am, before all of that, it was severe lung malfunction. Horrific, really, really bad. I mean, I was probably on steroids consistently, having to go get a dose at least once every couple weeks. It was really bad, and it still flares up. And now I'm at the point where I can probably go 6 or 8 weeks without having to do something, and that at times it's getting extended longer and longer. And for me, there's no medication that I can really be on that helps. It's a full change of diet, which is the all carnivore, low histamine diet, and it's a nightmare. I have to eat ribeye steak and chicken nonstop. I don't like it, but this is what I have to do to get better, and this is what I'm going to do, and it is getting me better. By the way, do not take my recommendation of what you should do with your health. I have very severe, chronic, and they are rare, but they are more emerging issues than a lot of people do. So don't take what I'm saying as something that will fix you, and don't take what I'm saying as something you should do for weight loss. It's not. It could be dangerous and backfire to your health. This is just what works for me. I'm going to go ahead and put that out there. Okay, so a lot of times when I would go in, sometimes they would give me a shot of a steroid that would last like a week or so, or like 5 days. But a lot of times they would just give me a round of something like prednisone, right? Prednisone are steroid pills, and I would take them, but then because my body is sensitive, I can't just take them and stop. Nope, my heart can't function that way. My dysautonomia, my nervous system has a hard time functioning enough. You inject it with something and then it all goes away. So I have to then like taper off 5 milligrams every, 2 to 4 days, depending on how severe it is. Yeah, when you have issues with your lungs, they can give you steroids and let you go about your day and let you go about your business. Like there's no conspiracy. There's nothing. I look at that and I'm like, yeah, that's normal. That's standard operating procedure. However, we are dealing with a different type of situation. This isn't just asthma or a chronic issue like I have. This is the virus. So I can kind of understand the reporters asking, but at the same time, it's like, Well, duh. Like, doctors send people home with medications all the time, especially something like this. To me, that would be a common thing. And my only concern for the president, and this is just my concern from me, but like, I don't know his health, so maybe it shouldn't be a concern at all, is that I hope with the dexamethasone or the dexamethasone, they taper him off at least 10, however many milligrams he's on, they taper off over like a week or two because he didn't have those heart palpitations. And for me, like if I were to take 20 or 30 milligrams of a steroid and just stop, I would be fighting a dysautonomia caused heart flare-up. And that would not be fun. So I just hope that they're looking out for that. But then again, the president seems like he's in better health than I am, it seems like, and he's been in pretty good health, right? I have something itchy on my dress. Ow! It's like a label. It feels like sandpaper. If y'all see me itching back there, that's why. I just flipped the inside of my dress out, so hopefully it's not going to be there. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue. Sorry, I know I spent some time on that, but that one I just went, oh my God, media, you guys are silly. So it says, what infection control measures are you taking with him? How safe is it for him to drive around or return to the White House, and is that safe? And you know what? I think that's a valid thing to bring up about the fact that he drove around waving to people. I get what he's trying to do, but it's not the time and not the place. You gotta look like you're taking it seriously, right? It's all about the perception of people. It says, so the president has been surrounded by medical professionals and security staff wearing full PPE. Yesterday, us Secret Service agents were in the same PPE for a very short time. We are working with infectious disease efforts to make recommendations on how to make everything safe for the president and those around him. We are looking into where he will be carrying out his duties, office space. It's in line with everything we've been dealing with when they say upstairs, they mean at Walter Reed, for the last several days. Then they ask on testing, can you tell us when he had his last negative test, Thursday or Wednesday? They harped on this a bit, and we'll go over this. It says, I don't want to go backwards. And they said, isn't it important for those around him to know? This is why they keep asking. Contact tracing is being done, but I'm not involved in that part. Is it something he pushed for to be released? We try to get patients home as quickly and reasonably as possible and safe. Every day they spend in the hospital is a risk to themselves. And right now there's nothing right now being done that he can't do at home. That's another thing. Like, y'all were asking that, and I get what they're saying, but hospitals typically, they're turning tables. And they have strict criteria. I know from being somebody chronically sick and being hospitalized for this stuff and needing more additional help, you have to meet certain strict criteria to be hospitalized because this is an expense to the hospital. And so they want to get you out of there as quickly as they can without getting some type of lawsuit. So yeah, I just kind of thought that was interesting because it's like, welcome to America. If he's not pushing it, why? But again, he's the president. This is a different situation. I'm just throwing that out there. Then they talked about the 7 to 10 days as a window that has been used and to be concerned about with the president having the virus. And I don't think we are there yet with him. Do you have concerns of potential worsening or reversal, and what are your plans if that happens? Good idea. And he says, you're absolutely right. We stay cautiously optimistic and on guard. It's a bit of an unknown territory to get a patient with these therapies this early in the stages of the virus. And by the way, like, props to DT. President DT, props to Donald Trump for using his body as a guinea pig and saying, let's go ahead and do this up front. Like, I gotta say, that's a badass beat right there. Like, props to Trump. Big props to Trump. That takes some cojones. That's all I'm gonna say. And then they said, we are looking to this weekend. If we can get him through this weekend into Monday with him staying the same or improving, then we can take a deep sigh of relief. He has 24/7 world-class medical care, and we won't miss anything that's at the White House that we wouldn't be able to catch at Walter Reed. Says, the president is in the White House. How does that look? How do you do that safely? And he says, I don't know. What about dexamethasone treatment? He says, yesterday we talked about the temporary drops of his oxygen. We talked as a team and started steroids early in case it persisted or worsened. We look at risks and side effects and data and decided we would rather push ahead than risk the opposite. As for travel, we'll see how that goes. Then somebody asked his mental state, neurological symptoms, fogginess. Does he have side effects or symptoms from that? Good question. He said, you've seen him in videos. No. You've seen his tweets, which you will see him shortly. He's back. Pneumonia or any inflammation of the lungs. We've done routine standard imaging I'm not at liberty to discuss. You are actively not telling us what his lung scans are. And you know what? I just thought, I thought the arrogance of the reporter saying this, the sheer arrogance of this just, I'm sorry, but just drives me nuts. You're actively not telling us, yeah, B, because he doesn't have to, because HIPAA laws. Like, I get that he's the president, we should know what's going on and we're all concerned, but at the same time, there's also some form of a right to privacy with your health. The fact that you feel entitled to this, and look, I get it, the press might be concerned because they've been around him, they've been exposed to it, I get it. But he is still a human being who has the right to privacy with his health. And I'm just speaking from somebody who's been through that in a small amount in a public setting. Having people, it's a nightmare. So yeah, I'm not upset at all if he wants to keep that disclosed and he wants to use HIPAA laws. He has every right to. And shame on you for trying to bully your strong arm into knowing information that may not be your business. And you might say it's the president's all of our business to an extent, but then not entirely because he's still a human being. I'd get mad if they did this with Nancy Pelosi. I would get mad at anybody because people are still human beings and we have to remember that. I know the media and people they like to write people off and portray people as just characters, but they're still human beings at the end of the day. That makes me upset. And so when she said, you're actively not telling us what his lung scans are, they said there are HIPAA laws, rules that restrict me from sharing certain things for safety, health, and own reasons. Then they said, you said his oxygen dropped several times. How many times did he need oxygen? I thought this was good because he did say several times, a couple times. And this was a good catch because, okay, it's either two or several. Several typically, well, a few is like three or more, right? Several, I would think, would be more than two or three. Several, right? So then he said there were 2 episodes. Both times he received a little oxygen. I remember them reporting that one of those times he didn't receive oxygen, one he did. So which is it? Then he recovered immediately. Like, I would get the media being upset if they're not reporting, if they're lying or misleading with what they're saying, but you don't get to bully people into telling them, their full medical workup. So then somebody asked, was the oxygen required? No, it wasn't required. He wasn't looking ill, just anticipating his health needs, and he ended up not needing it for long. Then you were on Air Force One multiple trips. Are you at all concerned about your own exposure to the virus and the medical team? He says, I'm concerned, but as the CDC says, there are caveats for essential employees, and as long as we continue to test negatively and remain symptom-free and keep a mask on, then everything should be fine. He can carry out his duties. It says the president is not a patient man. Does he want to get back out there? He says the president has been a phenomenal patient and working hand in glove with us and the rest of the team. Today he's holding court with us. The testing, the future is, we have been back and forth on what's safe and reasonable. He's never once pushed us to do anything that's not safe and reasonable. Then they ask who on his medical team recommended against the president leaving and going back to the White House. He says no one. The president said, don't be afraid of the virus. Should we agree with that, or do you agree with that? He says, not going to get into the details of what the president says. I think that's probably a smart thing because, again, everything Trump says is misconstrued, but this one made Trump look really bad. You said his heart, liver, and kidney function was normal. Was it not well for a while? It's been normal. He seemed to have been dehydrated Friday, but other than that, he drank water, and now everything looks great, which they did report on, so that seems to be in line. He says the big first thing we need to do, campaigning, is to get, when it comes to campaigning, we need to see if there's evidence of the live virus that he can transmit to others. That's why the advanced diagnostics tell us, and that's why we do them. As soon as we can identify that, there's a 10-day window. The CDC gives guidelines on that. We are checking him routinely in that 10 days. It can be earlier than that or later, but we'll know sooner than later, and we'll look at him clinically. Why did you not administer hydroxychloroquine? I thought this has been a very interesting point the media has brought up that I can kind of agree with. And he says, won't go into specific debate on different therapies and medications. This is the regimen we chose. And that's the thing. It's like, even though I know he promoted that, something better could have come out. Or maybe he had another health issue that could have interfered with and they decided that wasn't the right way to go. We just don't know. Okay, he says, is he having muscle aches, lost taste and smell? He says, no, we're just talking about what symptoms he has less. Even slight cough, he doesn't complain at all, or muscle ache. He's up and back to his old self. How long will he actively shedding the virus? That's a good question. Fauci even said this morning, the first 5 days of the illness, people are most likely to shed the virus. Some do up to 10 days. Most after 10 days, they don't have live cultures of the virus. It's never 100% though. I'm not going to put a specific number on it, but we will look at that window. They said, will he be confined to his residence or confined to the Oval Office? I didn't understand this question, but okay, maybe I just didn't get it. We will do whatever it takes for the president to safely conduct business in the White House. Is he on blood thinners, and are you giving him Tylenol or Advil? I don't know why the blood thinners was needed, but anyway. He's not been on any fever-reducing medicine in over 72 hours. He is on a regimen of virus therapies. The president had a mild cough, congestion, and fever. The reason knowing the president's last negative test is important. It's important for us to know as the media. Would you recommend that he go to Bedminster, a fundraiser that he was at? Would you recommend that? He says, not up to me necessarily. It's his schedule. It wasn't until he returned that we knew the news of the day and asked how he was feeling and what is going on. They asked when was his last negative test and his last viral load. And he says, everybody wants to know that. They said, we've all been exposed. He said, I don't have the info on that. Any abnormal test? He says, HIPAA laws, I can't talk about it. So that's where we're at. He was released. And like I said, upon being released, he told everybody not to fear the virus, which is making people say he's not taking it seriously. It's a mess. It's a mess all around, and I will say the optics right now aren't good for the way he's acting. So I do very much hope in this situation that maybe somebody's able to rein him in and just give him an explain how this is looking to the American people, because as I've said repeatedly, this is all going to be about how this looks to us. Now, I know this video is getting super long, so please forgive me in advance. I'm not trying to make it too long, but I do want to go over what probably most of you are here to see, and this has to do with stimulus checks. Who's getting them and what is going on? So I have a little article of information from USA Today pulled up. So I want to go ahead and talk to you. I know a lot of people did not get stimulus checks still. People who are on disability, people who get different benefits, you know, SSA, SSI, SSDI, railroad. A lot of you didn't get the checks you were supposed to get and you had to fight to get them, which is just not fair. But for those of you who have not gotten checks, you were still eligible for your check this year, because this is the information that we've been hearing. The information is if you want your check, you're going to have to wait until file 2020's taxes in 2021, then you can claim it on your taxes. However, they have extended the deadline. It was going to be sometime in early October. They've now extended that deadline so you can get your check. Let me go over that. So from USA Today, the IRS extends deadline to register for a stimulus check, giving millions more time to get economic impact payments. If you haven't received a stimulus check yet, the IRS has extended the deadline to register by 5 weeks. The Internal Revenue Service announced Monday the new deadline to register for an economic impact payment is now November 21st, a move from October 15th, which again, guys, that's very, very good news. We took this step to provide more time for those who have not yet received a payment to register to get their money, including those in low-income and underserved communities, IRS Commissioner Chuck Reddick said in a news release. The extended deadline is for those who don't typically file a tax return, which includes millions of people, many living on limited incomes who have yet to get their hands on money that could help them pay rent, cover groceries, handle car repairs, and pay for other essentials. How many people haven't received those payments is still debatable. The IRS and the Department of Treasury do not know how many eligible people have yet to receive a stimulus payment, according to a recent report by the U.S. Government Accountability Office, the GAO. The IRS is deeply involved in processing and programming that overlaps filling seasons, Reddick said. Any further extension beyond November would adversely impact our work on the 2020 and 2021 filing seasons. The non-filers portal has been available since the beginning of spring and has been used successfully by many millions of people. And that's another thing, go use the non-filers portal. If you are somebody who isn't eligible, if you don't have to do taxes, make sure and go ahead and do that so you can be eligible for this. The IRS said it sent nearly 9 million letters in September to people who may be eligible for the $1,200 EIP economic impact payments, but don't normally file a tax return. The federal agency is encouraging those who haven't received a check yet to enter their personal information of the non-filers Enter Payment Info tool on the irs.gov/EIP. So if you have not gotten this yet, again, go to irs.gov/EIP before the new November 21st midnight Eastern deadline. Again, midnight Eastern, November 21st. So what is that? Is that 9 p.m. Pacific? Maybe 8 p.m.? Some p.m. You can provide bank account information to receive the money via direct deposit, or you can wait for a check to be mailed. A single person can receive up to $1,200 in stimulus cash. Married couples can receive $2,400, and people with qualifying children ages 16 or younger at the end of 2019 can get up to an extra $500 for each child. So there we have it. There you are when it comes to that. So some people are going to be eligible still to get their stimulus checks. So make sure if you got that letter, I don't know if anybody, I reported on this at the time, you were supposed to be sent a letter if you were eligible. Maybe some people didn't, but if not, let me look at the link again, irs.gov/EIP for more information on the non-filers tool and to get more info there as well. I know the IRS has a direct customer service line. Make sure and look that up. I'll have information in the description on what that customer service line is that's directly for stimulus checks. They opened that up back in May, so if you're still having issues, go check that out there. And stay tuned because I have news today when it comes to where we are at with getting a stimulus package passed. Very excited, so stay tuned. We've got more information to cover on that because it looks like we are getting reports. It could be this week. We'll have to wait and see. And guys, if you like this video, please give me a big thumbs up to help me out. Like the video, subscribe, hit notifications so you can be notified daily what's coming to the pipeline for you and your stimulus money and all your financial, business, news, and entertainment needs. As well, guys, leave a comment. Sound off in the comments. I want to hear everything. Let me know what you think about Trump and how he's acted with his health, or if you are somebody, let me know if you haven't gotten your stimulus payments yet. And join our Facebook group, and that is Katie's Corner at the moment. It will be changed to Katie's Insight here soon. Join the group, and if you have questions, ask questions about your stimulus-related issues, and we're all helping each other in there. Also, go to the page, Katie's Insight, and like the page before you go to the group. And guys, Also, if you can leave comments and share this content with as many people as you know are struggling, people on unemployment, waiting for stimulus checks, SBA loan and grant issues, or people who are having trouble paying their bills, I've got tons of tools and resources to help you guys through this very difficult time, and I would love to be able to do that. Okay guys, I think I'm going to end the video for here now. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all the love and support. Every time I end a video, I'm reminded how humble I am and how grateful I am to be able to be a part of your lives. You open your homes to me, you open your brains to me every day, your poor brains, hearing a chipmunk voice all the time. But I'm so grateful for all your love and support, and I'm so grateful that you've allowed me to do this and be of service to people, which is just my dream to do. So thank you so much. Okay guys, until next time, take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.